15 Things every husband hides from his wife. One of the hardest things about this world is that we, as human beings, have to be able to come together and understand each other, while never fully being able to know what's going on inside somebody else's head. Telepathy is not something we have, so we have to rely on empathy instead, hoping that our understanding of the human race and the world around us is enough to get us through day-to-day life. This reaches a whole new level of difficulty when applied to romantic partnerships, as a whole new level of emotion becomes attached to the situation. This is why so many people feel they can use secrets and manipulative behavior to twist people around their little fingers when it concerns romance and sex. However, it can also be pretty standard for a loving couple to have at least some secrets that they keep from each other. We decided to throw together a list of the things that husbands often lie to their wives about, whether they'll admit it or not. Ready to see what your husband is lying to you about? Think your marriage or future marriage can take that strain? Well, we're about to find out. 9. They're not as dependent as you think either. Believe it or not, your significant other would be very unlikely to just fall apart if you were to disappear for a week, and yet this is what many people feel would happen on both sides of the sexes. Unless you're a woman going out with a man who's completely dependent on you, and if you are, you shouldn't be with him, then you're married to someone who had to look after himself before he was with you. The only men who don't adhere to this rule are those who come from such a privileged background they've never had to do anything for themselves. We can't speak for everyone, but we know that we personally wouldn't want to be with people who lived their lives like that. We're sure this doesn't apply to everybody, but do you really want to be with a man who can't do anything for himself? It's not worth it. 10. He's probably spending some time on his own, if you know what we mean. One of the oddest things we find accepted in popular culture when it comes to a relationship between a man and a woman is the stereotypical expectation that women will hate the fact that men spend time on their own. We know that you know what we mean about a little personal time, so we won't bother going any further. Personal time is all part of being a human being and is merely a sign that you've got a healthy mentality toward the world of sex and close romantic relationships. Has anybody actually had a problem with that before in the past? If not, why are American films painting bored housewives as being offended when their husbands fantasize about other women? It's not as if these wives are totally innocent themselves. Are we going to sit here and pretend that wives aren't having a little private time as well? Don't be ridiculous. 11. How much is he flirting behind your back? You'll never know. This is an odd one, and it changes entirely based on whatever relationship you're discussing. Some people just accept that flirting is such a fluid part of social bonding and personal connection, to the point where many people have their own definitions of what flirting even is. Seriously, this, like every other thing on this list, is something that you sort out by sitting down and having a frank discussion about with your significant other. If you can trust him, you should be able to sort this out pretty quickly. We personally have no problem with a little flirting here and there, as long as that's as far as it goes. Anything beyond a little wry smile and a witty comment, and you've got yourself a problem on your hands. Seriously though, with love and trust, there should be no worry about a little flirting. It's all part of being alive if you ask us. 12. All of your flaws may stay secret. We know there's this belief about men that they all sit around together chatting about your various different flaws and what could be better, but this just isn't true of a lot of men, or at least of the sort of men that you want to be getting married to anyway. As we've said before, we can't speak for all men here, but there's a big chance that none of his friends know about the third nipple or the odd mole that you think is hideous but he thinks is quite cute. A lot of husbands have respect for the boundaries that their wives want in place, and you shouldn't always believe the stereotype when it comes to figuring out what people are like behind the scenes. If you don't believe us and you feel you can trust your husband, just ask him, and we bet you'll be surprised by the answer he gives you. 13. You may not know everything about his past. Some relationships are built on absolute trust and honesty, with both of those involved totally comfortable with the concept of talking about everything from their past, but this isn't true of everyone. There are some people out there, perhaps people like your husband, who don't feel that they can tell you everything about their past, or maybe they just don't want to tell you. There's nothing wrong with this, and you should really accept that if you're looking for a lasting and fulfilling relationship. While it may seem frustrating at first, almost as if he's keeping something from you, you have to understand that this isn't coming from a negative place, it's just who he is. If you can't accept that, then maybe it's time to move on and find a different husband. It's tough, but these are the sorts of realities you have to face if you realize you're just not compatible. 14. You may not always be the woman on his mind. As annoying as it may be, we're all human beings, and every human being is inherently flawed. There's no such thing as a perfect human being, which means there's no such thing as the perfect husband either. This means that while we would never condone anything on the scale of betraying or cheating, you'll probably have to accept that you aren't the only woman your husband thinks about sexually for your entire marriage. We have to remember that there's a huge difference between thinking about something and doing something, so to get angry at someone for merely having a thought is pretty ridiculous if you ask us. Honestly, this is the sort of stuff that can ruin relationships, and we think it's because there isn't enough of a realistic expectation when it comes to the level of expected fidelity. You cannot police someone's thoughts. It's just not possible. 15. They're not as secure as you think. It's a generally held belief that the Western world spends a lot of its time making women feel insecure about themselves so that they'll buy products, while men are given a much easier ride in this respect. They're also taught from a young age, either explicitly or implicitly, that as men, they should try and drown their emotions, never think of them, and not care about how they look or feel. Sadly, this doesn't make the feeling go away, so while your husband may have thick skin when it comes to how he looks, sounds, or acts, you may be surprised to know that there's a huge chance that the man inside that thick skin is a lot less secure than you think. We live in a modern world that understandably expects more from men than to just be strong, gruff, breadwinners. Men can be openly emotional and women can be more than mothers, but we're still trapped in a transitionary period that leaves men unable to fully express themselves, with your husband most likely included.